Have you ever wondered what we would look like if we were all broccoli? Just think about it. That's all I'm saying. Hey there, everybody. How are you doing? What's up, all you doodles and doodlers out there, you schemers and dreamers? Welcome back to another episode of Doodle Talk. This is Doodle Talk, episode 9, and I'm your host, Chaz, Wisconsin. Grab some popcorn, take a seat, and sit down in that seat and eat your popcorn, because we're in for a doozy, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we're talking about stuff. Lots of stuff. Just kidding. My name's not Chaz. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Doodle Talk. Episode 9, keeping it going. Last episode was a really fun one where I had my friend Ryan on, and we talked about living and working in Japan, and is it worth it? What should you do if you're gonna want to come live over in Japan? What should you do? Or if you just want to come visit, what are some of those better options? Like, how should you go about it? So if you're interested in any of that at all, please go check it out. It should be episode 8. And I had a ton of fun. Ryan will definitely be back on the podcast. We'll be talking about some other stuff. Probably, we still have a lot of Japan that we could talk about, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully getting some other guests on, have some stuff possibly in the works. And I've reached out to a few of my friends as well, so we'll see. But for now, just another solo dolo podcast here, and let's get into what I've been up to. What's up with the world at large? Keeping up with the Sam Dashians. And so recently I started watching this anime called Yurei Deko. It's an anime by Science Saru, and it came out in July of last year, 2022. I remember seeing something about it when it was being advertised initially, but yeah, I didn't really see much after that. Completely forgot about it, and then kind of just saw something the other day and was like, oh, I should go check that out, because it's a really cool style. If you don't know Science Saru, they've done a lot of stuff like Lou Over the Wall, The Night is Short, Girl Walk On, tons of stuff. Ping Pong the Animation, Devilman Crybaby on Netflix, and most of those were all directed by Masaki Yuasa. But this one was not. This one was different. And so I'm about 4 or 5, or just directed by a different person, but still animated by Science Saru. And I kind of have mixed feelings about this one. I mean, overall the style is really cool. The animation's pretty good, decent, solid. There's some really cool characters, but I don't know. I don't really want to shit on it because I haven't finished it either. The storyline itself is pretty cool. It has to do, it's kind of futuristic, and people have these they basically have contacts that are the deco. It's decos that are in their eyes, and it basically is a AR, essentially a really advanced AR system, and people try and get love, which is basically likes, a like on Instagram or something like that. And it's cool. Lots of cool concepts. Sometimes I feel it kind of just falls short though, and it can be really boring actually at times. There was one episode where I was I don't think I'm gonna keep watching after this. And then at the end they had a really cool moment, kind of a touching moment, kind of a deep, nice moment that kind of brought me back, and I was okay, I guess I'll probably watch the next episode. I honestly haven't 100% decided if I'm going to finish it or not, but it is interesting, and I thought I'd at least talk about it since that's what I've been watching recently. I haven't really been watching a lot of anime recently, but I kind of picked that up. I want to try and finish it just so that I can figure it, because there is a mystery element to it, and I love anything mystery. So it would be cool to kind of figure out to tie up some of the loose ends. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those shows that I would not recommend for a focused sit down. You have 2 hours on a Friday night, and this may not be the show for that. This is definitely the show to put on while you're cleaning, or like if you are cool with having like shows in the background while you're working or working on stuff. I definitely recommend this. And it's funny because I was looking it up, and the person who like wrote it is Dai Sato, and I found out that he's worked on like Cowboy Bebop, Wolf's Rain, which are like literally like Wolf's Rain and yeah, Cowboy Bebop, two of my favorites of all times. Some stuff for Ghost in the Shell, and I was like, dang. I mean, I guess I can kind of see it if he wrote this. I also haven't seen all of it again, so there's a little caveat there, but interesting to see because this is like super lighthearted and in a futuristic world, but it's all like, you know, like it's all, they use like round shapes and it's all like fun bright colors and stuff like that. So yeah, that was interesting. And then one more random fact, when I was researching this, and I saw like Science Saru, the studio that made it, they were founded on February 4th, which is my birthday, so that was cool, in 2013. So yeah, that was fun. Not much else going on, just staying busy and the same old. So let's jump into the shout out of the day. All right, so this is a new little segment that I started doing where I'm just basically gonna highlight someone or something or anything that I maybe have seen recently or remembered and wanted to shout out and give some attention to. And the shout out this time is it's this creator called Drawzilla. I guess Drawzilla ZZZ is their like handle, and I just recently found them. They're on like Instagram and TikTok, and they do these short little like animations. I'll throw some stuff on here so you can see, but they do some animations and just like little simple I don't know, like 10 to 20 second little funny little animations and stuff. And there's one that's been like blowing up on the internet, and it's like this soundbite, I guess, of like Miss Piggy talking on the phone to Kermit the Frog. I don't really know the backstory to this, but it's like a soundbite, and she's like, "Let me do it for you," and like this like piano starts playing in the background. I don't know what she's talking about. I even like listened to the song on YouTube, and I was like, I still don't understand what the song's about. So sorry for not knowing the context, but like they take that clip and they keep drawing this dog that like looks up at someone or something, like something's going on, and they're like, "Let me do it for you," and like then their nose like extends and like goes and does the thing that they're whatever they need help with or whatever they're gonna do. The person, whoever made it, like has reiterated it a lot of different ways already. They have like, man, like, probably almost like 10 different like little animations now. And I just love the first one. I think it's the first one. It's like this guy's trying to put his hand into a Pringles can. He can't fit it, and the dog's like, "Let me do it for you," and like reaches his nose in, but then the nose just like keeps going, and it gets to this shot of like outer space where it just keeps going still, and then it goes below that and like finally gets to the bottom and like licks up the chip. Like it doesn't even give the person the chip, just like eats it or whatever. I don't know why. Sometimes you just see those things and it's like, this is hilarious, and like I couldn't even tell you exactly why. But yeah, I really liked it, and started saying it around the house like the whole week, and thought it would be really cool because I've been doing a lot of like Zelda studies and like drawing Link a lot, and I've been wanting to just make another little animation because it's been a little while since I've made anything that was longer than like a second or two. And I had this idea to basically like do a little cover, like do a little version, my own version of that that animation. And I'll have the original animation. I'll splice it in either here or like in a second, and let you guys see. Because I want to give them full credit for all of this as well. This is not an original thing that I made. This is I just made an animation, like basically doing my own version of it as well, and I'll play that for you guys too. But what I did is whatchamacallit, so I had Link, and he I had a few different ideas, and I actually asked my little sister, because I asked her if she'd seen the clip, and she was telling me yeah, and like I told her my original idea is like I wanted him to grab a rupee and then like from somewhere, like even in the Lost Woods, like crawl through a little thing. He can't get the rupee. The dog comes and like reaches and grabs it. And she had the idea, because we were talking about the pots, and like it's a meme basically where Link will go grab the pots and like break them and just wreak havoc. But she's like, why don't you have the dog get the rupee out of the pot for him? And I was like, oh, that's such a good idea. So like that night I sat down and just like sketched it out, and I was like, okay, I think it's gonna work. And yeah, I made my own little version. I'll play it right now.
Listen.
I hope you liked it. Yeah, I had a lot of fun making that. And I don't do a lot of like draw this in your styles or like trends and stuff like that. Just because if it doesn't really fit what I want to do, I just don't have the time for it and stuff. But sometimes when it's something like this where like haven't seen a lot of people making these, but I wanted to like make my own little version, and I had a lot of fun because once I decided I was gonna do it, there was like, I couldn't like back out of it, and I forced myself to finish it, which was really cool. And I did it like in a span of a few days is how long it really took me. And sometimes I can like sit on things, and it was really nice to I was like, if I'm gonna make this, it needs to be quick. I need to put it out soon while it's still relevant and while I can still have fun working on it. So that was really fun. And shout out to Drawzilla. I'm glad they're blowing up because they seem like a fun and chill creator. But yeah, that's it for the shout out of the day. Next, we're gonna jump into the main topic of today. All right, so the topic for today is how to find your style, and do you even need to? Ooh. Yeah, because when I was working on that little animation, I knew, I was like, I can't spend a lot of time on this. I don't think it's worth it to like, spend 2 weeks trying to make a really awesome animation. And luckily, like the Drawzilla, their style, at least for those animations, is like pretty simple. Nothing too crazy. Just like, maybe a simple background, and then the characters are there, and there's not anything too complex or difficult. So it was perfect. And I can often struggle like trying to figure out a style for something that I want to make. But this was a little bit easier because like I know what I need to make, I know how I want to make it, and so let's just do it, whatever's easiest. And I ended up drawing this like really, really simple kind of cartoony Link for the thing. I copied the dog pretty closely to what Drawzilla did, but yeah, I realized I was like, I need to change the style so that I can get this done in time. It's like born out of necessity. I love that quote. Necessity is the mother of invention, I think. I love that quote so much because it applies to so many different things. I think I would even like to just have like a sit down talk about that quote because I think it's so great. Maybe someday, maybe a different Doodle Talk. But yeah, going back to the finding your style, right? It's like I knew what I needed to do, and it forced me to draw it in a certain way so that I get it done in time. And then I didn't have any like internal conflicts of like what I wanted to do, or like, oh, is this good? Is this bad? Like telling myself like it needed to be done on a timeline, like, or within the deadline, like really helped too, because then I didn't have to like beat myself up or anything. And it was just simple line art and filling in flats for the colors, like no shading or anything like that. And that also got me thinking, like, it's really interesting like seeing how people have to adapt to draw different, like this is mostly for animation, but like people adapt to different styles, and they're drawing what the director wants them, or the creator wants them to draw. Like whoever is designing the like character sheets and stuff like that, the references that people use, that's what they have to stick to. If they go too far off style, off sheet, like then it's gonna be too noticeable, unless that's an effect that you really want to have. Like there was one episode 8 of Mob Psycho, I think, from the 3rd season, had a bunch of different kind of people working on it, and like it's super subtle, so unless you really paid attention you couldn't tell. But Like you could see little quirks and little things that different animators were putting their own little touch into it, and it turned out super beautiful and super great, and I really like it. But that was done tastefully and on purpose. I'm sure the director like allowed them to be flexible in what they were able to do. Because sometimes, whatever, doesn't matter what your own style is or what you prefer, you have to draw in that style. And that's something that I think I would be terrible in, because I'm not good at like, I don't think I'm good at like replicating styles for an extended period of time. Like maybe if I like sit down and really study something, I can kind of nail it. I can kind of get close, but yeah, I always end up just being like, I mean, there are some styles that I tend to gravitate towards and like are easier for me to replicate, but then there are some things that I'm just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to do it in my own style. So I mean, like, going off of that, style and finding my style is something that I've struggled with for forever, the whole time, for a long time. Like, I used to sit down and I'd create a, like, new canvas in Clip Studio Paint or Procreate or whatever, and I would call the file like find the style, or like style brainstorming, and I'd have these I would keep like, find the style 1, find the style 2, because I would have like hundreds of characters that I'm drawing, or like hundreds of like, portraits, or like little like standing character turns and references and stuff like that. And I'd bring in like photo references and stuff that I would study as well. So if it's like, oh, I really like this person's style right now, I'm gonna try and copy that, and then copy it, study it, and then put it into my own style and see what happens. And I would get to this point where I would do that, where it's you're like copying it and then applying it to your own style, and sometimes I'd hit it, and I'd hit something and be like, oh, that's tight, I like that, that's cool, like I'll take this and then we'll run with that, and then that'll be my style. And then like a week later I'd come back and it would just be different. It would just look different to me. And it's like that style I liked a second ago, I just changed and I wasn't feeling it anymore. And it was like the most frustrating feeling ever. And like, I mean, this still happens. This literally still happens. And like I've been able to be like mindful of it now, to the point where it's like I realize like it's never a bad thing. Like I was constantly exploring and studying references to improve my own art, which that can't be it's not a bad thing to me. And but it did cause like some internal conflict. So it like leads you to beg the question, like, or me to beg the question, like, what would my style be? So like if I had to explain to someone my style, and if you're an artist, if you're like an illustrator, animator, like think about this. Is a fun thought experiment, because like think about it. What would you tell someone in a that's not a question that anyone wants to hear just randomly, like, hey, what do you think your style would be if you had to articulate it into words and stuff like that? Like I don't like those kinds of questions either, but just as a fun like thought experiment, like how would you explain your style to somebody? Because if I had to tell somebody mine, I mean, it definitely changes, right? But if I went back, like, I don't know. I would say right now, I'm definitely, in the past year or two, I've definitely been changing a lot. But if you just took a snapshot of the past like 3 years, right? I would tell them like, oh, it's heavily inspired by Studio Ghibli. With influences of like early Shonen Jump styles, and mixed in with like American cartoons ranging from the late 90s to early 2000s. And it's like, wow, cool. Like that's a ridiculous kind of description. And it sounds kind of confusing, and no one would probably be able to pinpoint what my style would look like. And like that's partly the problem, but it's also partly like a freeing thing that's kind of nice about it. And it's like the thing is I know like my style has shifted over the years, right? And I'm constantly thinking that I need to like tweak things or draw them in a different way in order to like finally achieve the style that I wanted, right? But I mean, it's difficult, it's hard, and your style is going to change a lot, especially when you're like just starting out, or like you're just getting back into drawing or something like that. So there's a lot of things to kind of break down and like go over when it comes to stuff like that. So I've kind of like boiled it down to a few questions that I would like ask myself in order to achieve what I want. And this is only if you care like about having a style, or like for me it's less about having a style, and it's like having something consistent that I can go to, that I know is going to be like genuinely me, that I can like rely on to use for like different animations and stuff like that. Like I don't even care about I don't care as much about like having a like immediately recognizable style. But these are a few things you could ask yourself, right? Like, what makes a style? Like, some people say style is subjective and it's like ever changing, which I agree. I think there are some things to that, but I think, and this is at least for like illustration, animation, like if some people really do have their own styles, like whether it's obvious and intentional by the creator or solely based on things that like the audience or viewers like pick up on through, that's like super like the repetition of things that they pick up on, right? Like just some simple examples, like when you see like the angular and like kind of blocked style of animation in Samurai Jack, right? Dexter's Lab, Powerpuff Girls, you know it's Genndy Tartakovsky. Like you may not know who that is, but you know, like you see Samurai Jack and you're like, why does that kind of remind me of the Powerpuff Girls? Like those two universes shouldn't exist together, but it's the same guy who like helped create them and made them, you know. And another example for just drawings too, two of my favorites, right? Like when you see a Calvin and Hobbes panel, you know it's Bill Watterson. Like it's weird because I mean, obviously, if you see Calvin and Hobbes, the characters themselves, but you can see Bill Watterson is a good example because you can see his ink or watercolor backgrounds that he would do, where it's just like the thick ink lines. It's got maybe a tree, a little bit of grass. Maybe there's not even anything filled in for the sky or the background, and it's like that is Calvin and Hobbes' background. I know it for sure, and I'm sure even if you're not that familiar, you'd be able to pick it out. And then another one is like any Charlie Brown character. You know that's Charles Schultz. Or you see the panel of the grass and Snoopy's house. You don't need to see any of the characters. You know immediately, you're like, that's Snoopy's house. And there's just some of those things where it's like they're like these undeniable characteristics to people's way of drawing or creating anything. Could be music, could be anything, you know, that lends someone to recognize that it's that artist. And then this kind of brings up the question, like, when do you know you have your own style? When have you reached that, you know? And again, some parts of this are subjective, but there are objective truths in all of this as well. Like if someone sees your art and can tell it's you without any immediate indicators like your name or like seeing it in the post or wherever it is, then it means that you've differentiated yourself enough to have created your own style. People know. They know it's you. Like I said, like if you see a cartoon or a comic that you immediately know. The best example is when when you see a new project from a creator and you didn't know they were making it, and you're like, wait, that looks like XYZ from blah blah blah, and someone's like, yeah dude, that's like their new movie that just came out or something. You're like, oh my god, that's crazy, like I knew it was that guy. Like that feeling, I know the creator is never there for it, but for me, like I would be so happy if somebody like could recognize it like that, because you're already, I don't know, like you're already getting the point across a little bit, even if they just even recognize that it's your work. And then they're probably like more likely to go check it out if they already like you and stuff too. So there's a lot of things to kind of consider there. But the next thing I would think about is like how to find your style. And this is kind of like to close it all up, to start bringing it to a wrap. This is really important, right? It's like, okay, well now I've differentiated between like what's having a style and what not having a style is, and like the gray area in between. So how do you find that style? How do you do it? So, I mean, like the thing I would say, the best thing is to not force it. don't force it. Take your time with it and do a lot of studies. Like, study the people you like. Don't just pick one person that's your favorite person. That's never good. You don't want to just become like a copycat. And I mean, it happens to everyone as they're starting out, or like when you're a kid. I can't tell you how many times I drew like Goku and stuff from Dragon Ball Z, like poorly, or like Inuyasha, and just like I still have like little ticks and little drawing quirks that I have from like those like how to draw anime books that I got at like the Scholastic Book Fair in 3rd grade, which I think is hilarious, but also sometimes I'm like, shit, like stop, don't, because sometimes it's like a bad habit that you create, and sometimes it's cool. I'm like, okay, this is adding to my style, but sometimes I'm like, no, I need to stop doing that. And 3rd grade Sam, like, get out of my head. But yeah, so like copy their work, pick 4 or 5 people, copy their work, study the way they draw, you know, watch videos if possible. If you can see how someone like roughs out a character or how they're physically drawing, it can be like super helpful for you to get an insight, or be like, oh, I didn't know they used that pen, or like, dang, they used a manga nib, like I should try and go get one of those, you know. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You don't have to, like, if someone uses only manga nibs, like, and you want to do a style like that, you can definitely achieve it without manga nibs. You don't have to. I know that's kind of like some people think they have to do it exactly the same way, but no, you can achieve that style in using a lot of different tools and pens and stuff like that. Like, if you want that exact style, then yeah, you might have to, but don't worry, because there are workarounds and things you can do, you know. But yeah, like, take your time, and eventually you'll start to notice things that you like habitually do, like these little quirks that add up over time. And to me, that's like the secret sauce of what goes into a style. And this can be deliberate too. Like, if you think oversized ears are cool, I mean, like, draw huge ears. If you like circular eyes, go for it. Let your preferences dictate what you end up drawing. And like, keep in mind that your medium and what you're trying to draw is an important factor. If you're animating super complicated figures, it's gonna take you forever. Like, there's no easy workaround to like super detailed illustrations or animations. It just takes time. And if that's what you like, if you get in the zone and you like to draw that stuff, go for it. That's perfect. That's beautiful. But if you like a simple style and try drawing in super detailed animations or something, like, rethink it and think about, oh, maybe I can simplify this or that and create it in a more like efficient way, you know. Because like, there's a reason, right? There's a reason early animation is all built on manipulating simple shapes. Like, there's a reason why Mickey Mouse was a circle, like that's its face, you know, and then like a circle for the body. Like, the bean shape is really common in old animation, like learning the 12 simple steps and stuff like that. Or the 12 animation principles. I don't know if they're called the simple steps, but yeah, like, there's a reason to all that. Simplicity has its benefits and it has its downsides too. Like, if all art was just simple, if all animation was just circles walking around on top of each other, like, there wouldn't be any variation and it wouldn't be cool. And those people who really put in the time to make those detailed animations or artworks, you know, we wouldn't have them. And not to say that any simple style is bad. I have been leaning more and more towards a simple style over the past couple years, by just finding my own little spice to put on it, you know. So the main thing I want to close out on here is just, you know, lastly, just don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. Like, this is something I have to constantly remind myself of. Don't sweat it. Over time, you'll find your style, or at least something you consider trademarks or quirks that you like to use. It doesn't have to be your own like defined style. You just have little things. Maybe you like to fluctuate and you like to add, like, I like to draw my ears this way, or I like to draw little hairs coming off. Like, that's totally cool. That still can be something that's kind of like having your own style, you know. And everyone has different preferences. So sometimes, like, at the end of the day, you know, as long as you're able to create what you want and get the point across to a certain degree, I don't think it really matters what it looks like. Because someone might hate it. You could spend 100 hours on defining your style, draw something, someone hates it, and then you could just be messing around with some stupid, silly style, and then everyone loves it, and you're like, wow, I don't understand people. I don't understand this world. But, you know, that's just the way it goes. So the main thing to do is don't sweat it, and just keep drawing. And don't let the elusive style or the search of your style like ruin your own creative experience. Because yeah, like just remember at the end of the day, hopefully you're just trying to create something and make it because you want to have fun, or like, you know, spread some joy in the world, or like get your emotions across. It doesn't have to be joy. Like if you want to show something that's sad, draw it. But don't let trying to find your own style set you back. That's basically it. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for me on this fine episode 9 of Doodle Talk. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.